This is music, and this is. Welcome to another edition of First Impressions. This is kind of a special edition. Not too long ago, the Babymetal Marty Mac very kindly sent me a VCLT. It included 2 cassette tapes, Sound of White Noise, and that's by Thrash, and Cool from the Wire by Dirty Looks, and he also included these 4 CDs. And as it happens, the only CD I was familiar with was this one here, Heavy Water, Red Brick City, but I only listened to this CD or record once, so I think I can't even say that I'm familiar with it. But in this video, I'm going to share with you my first impressions of these 4 CDs. So let's just take this one first, Heavy Water, Red Brick City. This is a project by Biff and Sepp Byford. Biff Byford known from Saxon, and Sepp is his son. And it was kind of a project, as far as I understand. They wanted to, just make some music during all those COVID lockdowns and all that stuff. And then they came up with this and released this album under the moniker of Heavy Water. And so what kind of music are we dealing with here? I would say it's hard rock with some even classic rock elements there, and maybe some very, very old school heavy metal elements. Not that much 80s metal, which you might otherwise expect. But yeah, lots of hard rock, and I would say that the 2 main kind of leanings, at least to my ears, of this album, and maybe not surprising either, the 2 main leanings are kind of like 70s hard rock and then 90s hard rock, alternative metal. And so you have some songs that are actually very groovy. You have lots of groovy, almost like southern rock inspired riffs, and some nods back to, Black Sabbath kind of stuff, but you also have some songs that sound more like they were inspired by the alternative rock scene of the 90s, and it's actually very good stuff. My favorite track is probably the title track, Red Brick City, which is just heavy and groovy and almost doomy in places. I also quite like Revolution and Medicine Man. I mean, I like all the songs, but those were kind of like 3 highlights. And the Byfords kind of, take turns at, the vocals. I think Sepp perhaps has a bit more of a prominent role when it comes to the vocals. As far as I understand, they also play all the instruments other than the drums, but I could be mistaken. But yeah, very good stuff here actually. If you like your heavy rock, if you like your hard rock, with lots of nods back to the 70s and also to the 90s. And I guess it kind of makes sense because those of us who were around to sort of witness and be part of the 90s alternative rock scene. And I was in an alternative rock band after I had sort of left the thrash metal band I was in. We know that the alternative 90s rock was a lot inspired by 70s rock. So yeah, but very good stuff. If you like your hard rock, check it out. And of course, Biff Byford sounds like Biff Byford when he sings. So that's an extra kind of, attraction point, that you do get his very unique singing style. So very good stuff there. So again, thanks to Marty for sending me that one. Up next, Witch Mountain. And by the way, I'm presenting these in the order in which I listened to them. And I listened to them pretty much in one sitting. I was cleaning a bunch of records. big bunch of records, large stack of records maybe, listening to these releases while doing that. So Witch Mountain, and this is doom metal. And one thing that I found was really interesting about this one was that you could actually hear sort of some of the same roots of inspiration. Just some lyrics in the booklet here. You could hear some of the same roots of inspiration on this one as on this one, right? So this is heavily influenced by 70s hard rock. The difference is that this is just like 10 times heavier than this, yeah? So we're dealing with really dark and heavy doom metal, sort of peaking back to the 70s, but with a more, I think, kind of modern stoner doom guitar tone. And there certainly are some stoner doom elements here, but it's just really, really heavy 70s hard rock inspired doom metal. And you know, the songs are, the shortest song is 2.5 minutes. Other than that, you have a song that's like almost 15 minutes, well, more closer to 14 minutes, but that's still quite long. That's the last one. And that's just a dark musical journey, very good. You have one that's almost 8 minutes, Burn You Down. You have Mechanical World, that's almost 6 minutes, and the opening track, Midnight, almost 5 minutes. So relatively long songs, and that's the thing with doom metal. It is slow, so the songs will almost naturally be kind of a bit longer, right? But yeah, very good, very heavy, very retro, but also kind of modern in a way, doom metal. We're not dealing with you know, epic Candlemass kind of doom metal. We're dealing more with imagine Pentagram, just very heavy and slow. Imagine Old Cathedral before they went stoner, but imagine Old Cathedral with more of a 70s hard rock feel to it. And you have Witch Mountain, very good stuff indeed, very enjoyable. And then kind of for a laugh, yeah, and by the way, thanks for, of course, sending me this one. Then kind of for a laugh, he also included this one here, 10 Babymetal years, cause Marty knows I like my Japanese metal, and Babymetal, kind of famous / infamous, depending on where you stand, I guess, for being basically 3 little girls doing fun dances and shouting things in front of a band playing modern heavy metal. But there's more to it. Now, obviously, what's interesting about this is that it's for kids, right? It has lots of things that I think kids would find extremely just, you know, fun to sing along to and do and you know, replicate the dances and all that stuff. But the music is actually very heavy. The songs musically kind of fall into, I think, the way I view it, different categories. So you have some songs that are more like, you know, like modern power metal. So you have the you know, up tempo, you have the guitar melodies and all that stuff, and then some of the songs are more along the lines of, you know, modern kind of like core style metal. So you got some metalcore songs as well, and then some kind of more industrial kind of metal stuff. And that already, you know, those 3 genres with kids fronting them, that does sound a bit weird. There is a very, very ubiquitous pop element as well, and that's one of the things they were or are kind of infamous for, like combining pop and metal. So it's not for everyone, but there are lots of things to enjoy about this one. And I actually, there's some, I mean, I think all the songs are fun, and then there's some songs that I think are actually genuinely good. And one of the things to say about this is that kind of the main vocalist, and I think she's called JMetal. She's actually a very good singer. She can deliver some very, very good vocal melodies, and there are some very epic and awesome vocal melodies on this album. And I'm not talking, and I'm also not talking, and I'm certainly not talking. No, there are some, I mean, those are fun. There are some vocal melodies that are epic, that are soaring, that are haunting, and that are just great. And for example, in the fourth track, Megitsune, which is probably my favorite Babymetal song on this album, and I actually, the first time I heard that song, and that was the only Babymetal song I was familiar with, that was in a cover version that Nemophila did. And do check out that cover version. It's very faithful, but it's very good. And they have Nemophila has a great singer, and just her delivering those vocal melodies, both the kind of fun ones, but also the epic, haunting ones. That is something to check out for sure. But in Megitsune, you have some fun kind of kiddie style vocal melodies. But then in the chorus and in the pre-chorus, you have some really epic, fantastic vocal melodies, and you have that in most of the other songs too. There are some songs that are kind of silly, like Doki Doki Morning. That's kind of a silly song. Gimme Chocolate, also kind of silly. And you have Distortion and Papaya. They're not silly, but they're more like industrial. They have some silly elements to them, but also some kind of scary elements if you start thinking too much about it. But Megitsune is a great song. I think genuinely a great song. Headbanger is a fun song, enjoyable, has some pretty good vocal melodies as well. Ijime Dame Zetai is also a pretty good song. Road of Resistance is actually a very good song too. So there are some songs that are, just genuinely good, right? So you can enjoy non-ironically if you're a grown up. And if you kind of like this kind of fun poppy metal stuff they do, power to you. I am probably not going to go out and seek out all their releases and buy them and collect them, but I will listen to this one every now and then for sure. And as I said, Megitsune, if you can live with the poppy elements in that song, it's actually a great song. Now, one of the things that I quite like about the vocal melodies here, and that's a thing that I quite like about a lot of Japanese rock and metal, is that they use, and why shouldn't they use scales, I think, that are taken from the Japanese music tradition, and they use kind of like combinations of notes that I think are also kind of taken from the Japanese music tradition, and that just makes it super interesting to listen to someone who grew up with more like Western style music. So and there is just something about taking those Japanese scales and those Japanese ways of putting together notes into melodies and placing that in a context of rock and metal, and having either like a rock belter vocalist or operatic kind of vocalist or whatever, right? So that's why I think the vocal melodies are really good in a lot of the songs here. And the musicianship as well, there's no denying. They got a good, band backing the girls here. Great musicians. And even sort of the more metalcore kind of songs that don't click with me, and the industrial metal kind of songs on here that don't click with me, I can acknowledge that, you got some good musicians at play here. And as I said, JMetal, the singer, kind of main vocalist, she's a very, very, very good singer. I don't know if they processed her voice or anything, but I will assume that if they did it minimally. So I assume good faith, and I think that she is probably a very gifted singer, and it would be very interesting to hear her front just like a different, maybe more serious kind of band, you know, maybe her addressing some darker material lyrically. I mean, she's a grown up now, so she can do that safely. And also, you know, no matter what you think of this music here, again, we have to acknowledge there's some good songwriters, just songsmiths involved, people that know how to put together songs. So yeah, 10 years of 10 Babymetal years, a fun compilation with some silly stuff on it, but also some genuinely good stuff. I'm not gonna go out and hunt down every, you know, Babymetal release I can find. If I come across some in some secondhand record stores, which I actually every now and then do, I might pick them up from now on, but I'm not gonna go out and hunt this. But yeah, actually very good stuff. I enjoy it. The fun part of it, I enjoy that. I can imagine kids will love singing along to the kiddie stuff and dancing and so on and so forth. And I can imagine that as a grown-up, you might appreciate, oh, the kids are so kawaii, blah, blah, maybe that. But I think you may also perhaps appreciate some of the musicianship, some of the vocal melodies. So I actually quite enjoy this one. Thanks for that one as well, Marty. And up last, Skull Archer, self-titled, and this was completely unknown to me. Just to show you the booklet, just some vocals. It's kind of vocals. Well, they're vocals, obviously, lyrics, and some liner notes and all that stuff. It's a mini album, and what we're dealing with here is a fucking awesome thrash metal, crossover thrash, I would say. And it's just fast thrash metal with angry vocals, awesome riffage, fast drum beats, but also occasionally some quite melodic guitar figures, and almost kind of some of it sounds almost kind of like folky, some of the guitar melodies, or maybe epic. The vocals are angry, and you have lots of to my ears, kind of like elements from hardcore punk and crossover thrash thrown in there. So yeah, this one was just a no-brainer. Enjoyed it from beginning to end. Great stuff. So yeah, actually, so thanks for this one too. And again, to the Metal Marty Mac, thanks for all of these. They all sort of, you know, you hit the jackpot with all of these. I enjoy all of them. So thanks for sending me these. I really appreciate it. Just goes to show, you know, how awesome people the members of the VC are. So, but anyways, if you feel like you want to check some of this out, please do. I can vouch for all of them. Also, Babymetal. Thanks for watching.